Hey there, Jake Dempsey, CEO and co-founder of Project Broadcast. In this video, we're going to talk about setting up your account and registering with the TCR. Now, we talked about in a previous video that the TCR is called the Campaign Registry. And the TCR is an entity that exists that, we have to register every new user with in terms of who they are and what type of messaging they're going to send. That's a result of the 10DLC. Remember, we've talked about that terminology. That's means 10-digit long code, or really just real phone number. And you have to register all of this traffic because it's considered A to P, or business to person communication. You're using Project Broadcast for your small business, and the carriers classify that as A to P. You're using 10DLC, or a real phone number. So as a result of that, we have to register all those phone numbers with the campaign registry. Now, Project Broadcast provides a very nice workflow that helps you get your TCR registration submitted. And I'm going to walk through that process with you and talk about the different things you should consider whenever you're working to get your TCR registration completed. So let's pop over to Project Broadcast, and I'm logged into the account we just created. Now, when you first log in, you may be presented with the screen I'm about to show you, but if you just log in and click on your name and go to account, there's an area called the campaign registry. And you can always click begin registration here to start that process. Now, if you just logged in, you may be seeing this screen as soon as you logged in. That's also fine. It's the same screen. But just to get to that screen in case you need to, it's account, the campaign registry, and begin registration. The first thing we have to do is decide how we're going to register. Are we going to register as a sole proprietor or a private company? Now, the easiest decision or the easiest thing to understand when making this decision is, are you a single individual in your business? Meaning, are you like a 1099 contractor, consultant, distributor? Most of the time, you're going to register as a sole proprietor. Sole proprietor just means single individual sending messages for their business. Now, some sole proprietors have EINs in the US or business numbers for Canada, where they are a company, but it's still a company of a single person. Our suggestion is to still register in that case as a sole proprietor. The reason we suggest that is the scrutiny required to get approved for private company is actually much higher. You have to provide a website, a privacy policy, and terms and conditions for your individual business if you register as a private company. So even if you have an EIN and you're an independent contractor, you still probably want to go sole proprietor. Now, if you want to go down the path of private company, you're welcome to do that if you have an EIN and a true formed business. Just know that there's additional scrutiny that is put on private companies. And the primary reason of that is each of these categories of registrations gets different throughput. So for sole proprietor, the current throughput that's allowed by the telco space is 3,000 messages a day. And private company, that is 6,000 messages per day. And then each of these has slightly different throughputs in terms of how many messages per minute the telco industry will allow you to send on behalf of each of these entities. So first decision here is, am I sole prop? Am I private company? Easiest way to answer that is, if you're a single person as an independent contractor, consultant, distributor for another company, probably sole proprietor. If you're a business with employees and an EIN, probably private company. So I'm going to select sole proprietor to go through that process. It's going to ask me for a series of information. Some of this will get pre-filled based on what you filled out as a part of signing up for Project Broadcast. So I don't need to change any of this information. I'm just going to put a dummy address in here. You should obviously use a real address here. And I'm going to click continue. Your messaging display name is how you recognize or identify yourself in your outgoing messages. So, with me, I'm Jake from Project Broadcast, right? Or I'll say Jake with Project Broadcast, which is actually the example that we provide to you. So if you're, Sally with a certain realty company, or Bill with, a particular sales company, you just want to make sure you put in here who you are. How would you identify yourself in your text messaging? You then have to provide sample messages and opt-in strategies that you have for your business. So when you describe your business, we provide you with a couple of different templates, and maybe you fall into one of these categories. I'm just going to pick network marketing, direct sales here. It says I'm a consultant for business name. Well, you would obviously change this out into whatever company you actually are a consultant for, and plan to send messages to my team and to my clients in form of upcoming events and promotions. So that's a generic description. I can also add additional stuff to this if I'd like to. And again, there's a number of templates you can use here if you fit any of these categories, and you're more than welcome to fill this out without selecting a template first. You then have to describe how you obtain opt-in. Again, we provide templates here that you can use for starting the process. There's a general consent that talks about generally how people get opt-in through chat, in-person, social media, text messages, phone calls, and emails. There's PB double opt-in. This is if you leverage our built-in double opt-in feature. There's an entire training on double opt-in that can be found at training.projectbroadcast.com. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go look at the training there to see the double opt-in training. And then there's web form. If you're using, Jotform, Google Form, ClickFunnels, whatever, to collect prospecting information and want to put that as the way you collect opt-in, just know that you will have to provide your web form link, privacy policy, terms and conditions, or again, your submission to the TCR will get rejected. So I'm going to select general consent here. Now, messaging samples, depending on the business you're in, we provide, again, some starting points that you can use for providing example messaging that you will submit to the TCR to say, hey, I'm Jake with Project Broadcast, and this is the kind of messages I'm going to be sending to my contacts in the system. So I'm going to pick e-commerce sale because, we're a company that may offer a sale. And notice it already says, hey, it's Jake with Project Broadcast. It already includes opt-out language here. It talks about getting discounts. So this is a fairly representative message of what I would be sending. I'm identifying who I am. I'm providing some type of value through a promotion, and I'm making sure to include opt-out language. And notice there are tips along this process that say things like that as well. You have to identify yourself. You have to provide opt-out language as a part of your sample messaging. And this is to show that you must provide these things. And carriers will use this information to make sure you're adhering to the type of messaging that you said you'll be sending. Simple to message. I'm going to pick birthday as an example. So, hey, contact name. It's a birthday message here, and it's who I am, and it has the opt-out language as well. So I'll use these two as my sample message. So now I have to put in my personal cell phone number here and then click submit. When I enter in my cell phone number and here, click submit, this is very important. You're going to get a text message from the TCR on the number that you provide for this personal cell phone number fairly quickly. You want to make sure you reply yes to that message because that's what will actually submit your registration for review. Now, reviews can take around 2 business days currently, and that time may fluctuate depending on the volume of requests that the carriers are seeing. But generally speaking, it takes about 2 days for sole proprietor to be approved and or rejected. Now, once you receive that text message from the TCR, it's very important to respond yes to that message. When you respond yes to that message, your registration is going to go into a pending state. You'll see that here in the left-hand navigation. If you do not get the SMS message, you'll see another button here that says resend SMS. If you've tried to resend the SMS multiple times and the phone number is correct, please make sure to reach out to support@projectbroadcast.com, and we'll try to help you get that resolved. It's important to know it takes about 2 business days for this process to get approved, and we don't control the process. Project Broadcast is not the one validating the information or vetting the information that you provide. The campaign registry is vetting that information. So you have to be a bit patient as the campaign registry, goes through your process, your information that you have submitted, and either approves it or denies it. And if they deny it, Project Broadcast will work with you to get that resolved. You'll want to check for updates here, and it'll move to a registration failed state if, for whatever reason, the TCR failed your submission. And then Project Broadcast will work with you to get that resolved and resubmitted. Once you've gotten your TCR registration process approved, you're then able to send text messages using the Project Broadcast platform. Before it gets approved, you've got about 2 days. You can start working on setting up your call forwarding, broadcast hours, importing contacts, creating content. There's a lot of things you can be doing while you're waiting for the TCR process to complete.